My apologies. So we'll call the meeting to order. Do we have anybody from the public attending?
No, not yet.
Okay, we're gonna move to approve the minutes from the March meeting. I thought they were very good.
One correction. Page 3, third paragraph. Leader, Leader, not Liter. Tree Advisory Committee can't be having that misspelled. You see it there, Rich? Page 3. Third paragraph, second sentence.
Second sentence, okay.
Single leader versus leader.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Got it.
It's just, it's, I don't usually worry about spelling, but that's a whole different word.
Yeah,
Since I don't spell, it doesn't matter usually.
any others?
So I caught.
So then I'll call for a motion to approve minutes as modified.
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor? Minutes approved. Okay, next up, 2023 Tree City USA recertification. Paul,
Okay, we got good news. Back on March 27th, we received notification from the Arbor Day Foundation that we were recertified for our 2023 year, which made it the 20th consecutive year that we have been a Tree City USA. And I'm gonna just share a screen for just a second. I want to show you something that we received, and we can go back.
Frozen or?
Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, we see a little wheel of wonders there. Trying to open it.
looks like it's spinning. Okay, now I got it. 20 years, nice.
There we go. It's making me feel old, Rich.
Now, is that something that goes underneath the signage?
Did we lose Paul in exchange for the photo?
We might have. Paul, you with us?
He's on mute.
Oh.
You be on mute, sir. Still on mute. Okay.
You back with us, Paul?
Yeah, we're back with you, I believe.
My question was, is that something that goes underneath the signage that we have at the entry points to the town?
No, we have actual stickers for that with the 20-year listing, but that is an actual plaque that we have here at City Hall.
Nice.
Very nice. Congrats to everybody.
Yes,
Thank you for all of your help, everyone. Everybody, it's a team effort. So the next item is the growth award, and we also received notification that March 22nd that we had received the growth award also. And I know it was interesting, for some reason, the Arbor Day Foundation had the dates backwards this year. They did the growth award first, then the recertification of the Tree City.
Well, if you get the growth reward, I guess they're assuming you got the Tree City.
That kind of gave it away.
Yeah, kind of a giveaway there.
Can't have one without the other.
How many years on the growth award is it?
18.
Yeah,
You have to be a Tree City USA for 2 consecutive years before you can apply for the growth award. So for 2023, it's 20 years for the Tree City USA and 18 for the growth award.
Kudos to that.
so are we gonna put the stickers underneath the signs or on the signs for Tree City USA?
Yes, we're gonna put those underneath, and then I'm also working with DOT and Economic and Community Development to look at having the signs, 2 additional signs put at the entrances and exits to exit 16 like you'd requested.
Oh, great, awesome. Okay, then I'm gonna report on Tree Campus USA, because Erica's not here, but I did speak with her prior to the meeting. So the college got the recertification as well for Tree Campus USA. So kudos to that.
Is
Yeah.
there something more permanent than just a vinyl sign on the stone wall? Not that
I
it's-
don't know. We'll have to ask Erica next time we have her in our presence.
Just because they get old and they get, they get grungy. And
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I mean, that's the kind of sign you put up for a while, then you take it down and you put something else up.
Right, that's like a
Because no
temporary.
one notices it after a while too. So.
That would probably have to check with the Arbor Day Foundation and see what they have.
I know with the Tree City, there's items that they have that you can basically order, different things. They have a list of stuff that if you wanted like additional signs, you wanted additional 20-year certifications, or you needed another flag for something, you can purchase them. So I'd imagine it's probably the same for the Tree Campus also.
Yeah, they're only one of the few campuses that have that, so they should promote it. We'll run that by Erica next meeting. Update on capital grant funded tree planting program, Sarah and Paul.
Okay, as we mentioned last meeting, we had asked if there's anybody that has additional items for tree planting locations, if they could provide them to us. I can give you a summary, and Sarah's gonna talk about a couple of them in a minute too, but just to give you an idea, we've had work that we've staked out already and placed orders for almost all of these. They're all staked out, but there's a few orders still to be placed, and it totals 105 trees right now. We've got like 35 on Spring Hill Avenue. The Earth Day, there's gonna be 2 that are gonna be planted. Arbor Day at Silver Mine, there's gonna be 2 planted. City Hall over at Beacon Street at Malquest Field, there's gonna be 7 trees that are gonna be planted. Dean Court, there's 16 trees in response to some work that had to be done to remove some dead trees over there. This is replanting. Sarah had put together some and Knapp, Ely, Ingalls of another 11 trees. And Sarah has done, let her talk about the Woodward Avenue area in a minute. And then Connecticut at West. Last year, we had said that we were gonna do replanting at the corner of the intersections of Connecticut Avenue and West Avenue over by the wall where we had done cleanup work for the Arbor Day cleanup event. There's a plan that Sarah has put together of 13 trees that we're gonna do over there. And then Riverside Avenue, we've got approximately 12 trees that we'll talk about in a little bit. And I'll let Sarah talk about those as well as the Knapp, Ely, and Ingalls and the Woodward Avenue.
Awesome.
Yeah, so right across from Woodward Park, if you guys are familiar, there's a little neighborhood right across that street. I think it's like Burritt and Mack Street. There's nothing near the coastline. I don't know if things have come down over the years. There's just a couple London planes and nothing else. So someone had put in 1 tree request, but while I was over there, I imagine we're gonna get maybe 20, 25 just in a matter of like 2 or 3 blocks. So that was an awesome find, honestly. On the corners of West Ave and Connecticut Ave. So behind, there's like a memorial, like a big stone memorial for veterans. behind that, there are like a couple of fastigiate American hornbeams right now, or maybe European hornbeams. So Paul and I tried to like match each corner to make sure that it did kind of, it was a nice design aspect to it. So we're the two corners on Connecticut Ave that got cleared out last year. I had some saucer magnolias, so there's something flowering for the spring, along with some service berries. And then right across from those existing fastigiate hornbeams, we put some hornbeams and another saucer magnolia, so that hopefully that makes it feel more pronounced as like an entrance to the city, like you guys had mentioned.
I would try and
Um,
bring the plan up on the screen, but every time we're trying to screen, it's kicking us out, so I'm not gonna bother.
Well, Sarah, the only thing I'd say is the service berry don't look very, they're not very big in terms of the way they grow. So just maybe more magnolias. Just because
yeah,
the service berries are basically big shrubs. So that's a big intersection. So more meat would not be a bad thing. Just, I'm not even looking at the plant. Don't really need to look at the plant. But if you look at the flowering trees along the Mara Parkway right now, there's a great deal of service berries and they really don't have a lot of punch.
yeah, they don't do a lot for a while. They're kind of in the background, and then the saucers are,
They don't do a lot for a long time. So
yeah,
just think about them, and if they don't work, change them. If not, use them. Don't care.
sure. Um, Especially the background right now against the highway is still just
It's
a
small.
lot of scrap maples, things like that. So
They don't
good
hold.
point.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. They're not going to hold their own.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then along the NRBT where we're going to be doing the cleanup tomorrow, I know, and it looks like, is Jeff here? Jeff is here. I know that the Tree Alliance had said that they had some interest in maybe being involved in some of the plantings on the inside of the trail closer to the river. But for the roadside, like the snow shelf, um, the traffic, mobility, and parking department had asked me and Paul, what could we put in there? There's actually a bunch of tire marks from people driving over the curb, which is a little wild because the shoulder's like 3 feet right there. So I'm not sure how that happens. But so we're gonna put in a couple of trees and mix in some shrubs so that it does kind of make it feel a little bit more safe when you're walking on the trail, and hopefully deter folks from somehow hopping the curb line. But once we do that cleanup, I imagine we can get another 10 to 15 trees just in that stretch. So that'll be really great.
Yeah,
So
there's some
planting
nice
on the
planting
inside.
on the inside of the trail. There's a lot of room.
Yeah. And they could use it.
Yep. The snow
We're
shelf
looking
is
at-
gonna be tough because of the snow plows when they come down that road. Like if we get a wet, soggy, heavy snow, it's gonna get really beat up.
Yeah. And the other thing there is what's currently within that snow shelf is just fill. It's not great soil. So
No,
when
Soil.
Paul got a quote from Olmsted to make sure that we fill in the planting holes and then mix in proper topsoil before or during planting to ensure that they're not going into just
Yeah.
straight fill.
No.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that right there is 105 trees, and we've got another whole group on the list. Sarah's got some other ones we're looking at, so we've got quite a few. We'll be in good shape for this spring.
so have we targeted taking out the invasives along that stretch for tomorrow's effort?
We're gonna target invasive vines primarily. There's, I think, 7 or 8 smaller dead trees. The only dead stuff we're cutting out is stuff that threatens the bike trail or the roadway, so it's stuff closer to the bike trail. We're not going all the way down to the river's edge. But we're gonna do a lot of cleanup. We're not really doing invasives as far as Norway maples, if you're calling. There's a lot of Norway maple in.
I was sort of edging on that because they're tough to control. And I haven't really walked there in a while, but I know that they left a lot of, pardon me, garbage when they cleared the trail, and a lot of stuff should have been taken out to begin with.
Yeah, we're doing a good cleanup. We have a big stretch all the way from New Canaan Avenue down to, what is it, number 38, the Granite Place, I
The
think.
parking lot, the address of the parking lot is 38 Riverside Avenue, and that's right next to the Castelli Tile and Granite.
Yeah, I hope
We-
you can come over, Mr. Pete, later in the afternoon or morning, I hope.
I saw the schedule, it depends. It depends on who's
Uh,
here.
We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, because I want to go into a couple of other things too that we talked about with that, but the next. So that's pretty much the, does anybody else have any plantings for the spring that they want to talk about?
We had talked about putting some additional trees around Sono Gardens. I don't know if that was still part of the plan. I haven't heard it mentioned.
We can take a look at that, because we have several different options for funding in that area, Sonia, so we can set up a time to come down and meet with Sarah, and you and I, and walk it.
Okay.
And I know, Paul, I had mentioned there's a couple of London planes right on MLK from a planting we did, I think, 6 or 7 years ago that I think the drought of 22 took them out. So they're not
Okay.
under warranty, but they should be replaced.
And then we've got one down at Woodward Park that we're gonna be doing, that Jeff has mentioned too. And we've got another group. In addition, we've got several one-offs that I've received contacts for. We have another group on the list that we've received from the online form. And then also ones that we have in the tree plotter program that Sarah's been working with the tree management plan too. So
Are you keeping a list of anything that doesn't get installed in the spring installation? So we add it to start off for the fall?
yes.
Awesome.
We were pretty much caught up going into this spring because of the money that we had and the quantities that we had done. There was a few, and during the tree liaison section, Gay's gonna talk about a couple of other carryovers that we had too. But we were in pretty good shape with what we had going into now, but we did receive quite a few requests. And
Good. Okay, the next item is the Norwalk Earth Day Festival on Norwalk Green.
Actually, Rich, item B. Under 7B.
Oh, I'm sorry, B. Yeah, I skipped over the fiscal 2024. Yeah.
All right, I wanted to talk about the funding that was approved for this next fiscal year for capital budget. And remember previous meetings, I had talked about what we had and then some of the grants that had to be spent by December 31st of 24. And then areas around the city, we had other grants that Sarah had talked about previously, but all of that stuff was down in South Norwalk. The MLK corridor grant was South Norwalk, so technically after December 31st, we had no money to plant trees elsewhere around the city. So the capital budget process is over, and the Common Council on April 9th just approved the DPW Tree Advisory Committee budget for $100,000, so that's for fiscal year 24-25. That money's available after July 1st, but it would really help us out during the portion of this coming spring, next spring 25, to get us through that end of the fiscal year, because basically we would have had no money for plantings elsewhere around the city. So that problem or issue's been taken care of and addressed. Thank you to the mayor and the Common Council. Basically, we have $100,000 for that budget. And then Rexham Park got approved for their usual $50,000 for planting in the parks too.
More than we normally get.
Yes.
No,
Well,
Rich, don't say that, Rich. We
Well,
could,
historically, it's more than what we would normally get.
we need to keep that growth cycle going, go 19 years.
Yeah.
Thank you to the mayor and the council for recognizing that, and they have gone with more than what we have had in the past, so. They were very cognizant of that.
Well, it's also about picking projects that are visible. you know, so some of the work that we've done to focus on primary arteries and entrances and public areas, it helps to keep that budget in place, and we need to keep doing that. So, you know, that.
I would concur. I think not that the one-off trees are not important, especially if they're in front of your own house where you live. But when we do the larger plantings and we put it, it makes a more visual impact.
Well, it's more successful as an environment. I mean, it's just better on a lot of fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll also add that like upon my arrival, I just immediately noticed that at a lot of our parks, we only have mature or overly mature trees. And so keeping this budget and making sure that we're kind of successioning these plantings is really important. So it's gonna be good.
Okay, great. Now we'll move on to item number 8. Earth Day Festival on the Green.
Okay, we're in pretty good shape. Obviously, the festival is on the Saturday, the 27th from 12 to 4. The setup will begin around 11 o'clock. The tree advisory committee table, Gay has agreed to staff that table for us, and I've just let her talk about a couple of the things that she was going to display at the table. And when we talked, one of the things that Gay worked on before when she previously was here was the pruning demo guide, so we've got that, and we've got basically other things.
Other brochures too, and also more important too is, we need to recruit more tree liaisons. I'm sort of jumping ahead about it a little bit, but of the 3 that we recruited, I reached out to all of them to see if there's any way I can get them to be motivated or come up with suggestions, if they have any questions, or sort of hold their hand through the process. Only one responded back to me, and that was just shortly before I came here, and he had some suggestions, but there doesn't seem to be any concern or involvement. So I'm gonna have a sign-up sheet, perhaps people that come over to the table, talk to them a little bit about what's involved in it and see if we can get some more people. I know it's hard to get volunteers and get them to stay engaged, but we'll see what we can do about that.
We were gonna put out our list and the contract list of trees. We were gonna do similar to what we did last year. I'll have a computer set up that has the locations of the trees that have been geolocated in our tracking program, so that someone could click on it and see what it looked like with the information about a tree. So we have that. And then some of the other information related to the overall program we'll have there too.
We're
Good.
planning the brochures, right, to give out.
Yes.
Okay, just a quick note. I mean, Norwalk has what, 10, 14 neighborhood communities, which is kind of great for a city. Liaisons being tied to that community may give them more sense of empowerment. I don't know if you can take that angle. If you have the list of Norwalk communities with you, and you have people who are willing to be tree liaison, and they're from Cranberry or they're from West Norwalk like you are, then they have a community that backs them up on what they want to do. Just a different strategy. Having done a cleanup day in Silvermine this past weekend, it's really helpful to have a community group that team tags with you doing various things.
Right, and to your point, it's neighborhood pride, and you're absolutely right about that, because they're comfortable walking around their neighborhood or driving around their neighborhood, so they pay attention to areas that need help. So it's a good point. I was just gonna write that down on a piece of paper to remind myself that maybe we should enlarge it and maybe do it on a poster board or something and kind of have it jump out and see the areas that need the tree liaison and make it a little bit more impactful. That's a good idea.
Because they
I
have more sort of group voice if they're part of a community group coming to the city. So they become a liaison between their group and the city. It's not just them alone. And that may make a difference.
I have a map that I can give Gay at the table for the neighborhood boundaries and also the list of the different ones too. So we
Right,
can give you some.
it's tricky with the streets too.
Yeah.
Always remember what they are. Right. Yeah, good point.
And then Connecticut State Environmental Science Club, since Erica's not here today, she's gonna have a table with students at the event also. So that'll be over in what is known as the Earth section. They went with elements this year in dividing up the different groups. And obviously the tree related stuff is in the Earth area.
Yeah, she wanted me to confirm that she's got the students coming, that you're gonna have the table available for them for the
Yep.
festival. Okay, thank you.
Sarah.
And Rec and Park table also?
Yeah, so Reckon Parks is gonna have a big table about the community garden, and then I will have a tree activity for some kids, a coloring page, write your name on a leaf and stick it on a tree, as well as a poster about the tree master plan, just so people are aware about the progress on that and what it entails. And then for the pruning demo, Rich, Peter, I'd love anybody else's involvement in that. That way it's not just everybody looking at me. We can kind of take it as a group and talk about it, but
I don't know
just
if I
an
can be good.
invitation.
I don't know if I could be pleasant about it, Rich.
We did the tree pruning demo. I think Lars Chericello did it at the tree festival one year, and he brought a small potted tree, but it got a lot of interest. It was pretty good.
You go.
Yeah, you guys did one down at the Arboretum, I think, one year too, we did.
We did it at the Arboretum one year as well. Yep.
Well,
We
you
It's
know,
did
okay,
put the
Peter.
Pamphlet together.
I just went through High Street and, Nick topped the trees. I don't know why Nick topped the trees, but all the maples are topped. They're his trees, he can do it. But
I won't be topping, I promise.
it's not a good topic for me. I get a little bent out of shape.
Yeah, well, there's a perfect, I think it's like a Cornus Cusa that I'll be pruning, and it's perfect 'cause there's some nice deadwood and a couple crossing branches. So I feel like it's a perfect example of real simple pruning job, but
Yeah.
anyone wants to join, you're welcome.
We're gonna be planting 2 sugar maples. One will be fully planted, and then the other one is gonna be partially planted for a demonstration also of how to do that, the pictures, all of that, and the photo op. And then the other thing that will be at the tree advisory committee table is I have 100 Douglas fir seedling plugs that Gay can give away at the table.
I love doing them. Okay,
People love those.
great. And are they coming with the directions how to plant them, or do we want to give it, okay,
So Sarah, while I'm thinking about it, because you're on the green, this tree pruning issue. First District cut those elms on the green last year or the year before. So this weekend, they're still not leafed out. It's a very clear example of why you shouldn't cut trees the way they cut them. I mean, you might actually point that out in your discussions because it's bad. No one can in conference and it's horrific. So, I mean, you're right on the main street. Don't be afraid to point those things out because it's a bigger issue than it's been an issue for a decade here.
No, definitely.
It's very
I can
clear.
definitely talk about heading cuts and why you should prune at certain points and not others, and
Right.
how, I mean, I just taught our maintenance crews from the Parks Department on how to prune rose bushes and other shrubs, not into just a rectangular box. Like, it's not good for them. So I can go over that.
But it's a real place example for you to point out.
Yeah.
Are the maple trees getting planted on the green itself, Paul?
Yes, they're gonna continue the line that they had requested last year be started, so we planted 3 last year. And we're gonna do 2 more this year to continue that line, and there's a walkway in the middle of the green near the gazebo. There'll be one on each side of that walkway.
Oh, nice.
line.
Is Homestead doing the installation work or partial installation?
Yeah, they'll be doing the full and the partial. They'll be doing both.
One of the things they do, or they shouldn't do there, is the volcano mulching. I know some of those trees have been over mulched on the green themselves.
And that's some of the things we can talk about when we're giving a demonstration and things like that.
and there's also a brochure we can hand out on that too, the volcano. So that's good.
Well, the green is managed by First District. They probably have a landscape vendor contractor that does that for them.
Yes, they do. And that is technically a parcel that's owned by the first taxing district.
Yeah. You gotta watch what you say about the pruning of the trees. They won't let you have the festival there anymore.
Yeah, we are the tenant that day. They are the landlord.
Yes,
I did send a personal or, you know, a non-NTA note to the director there this year about tree pruning, so, you know, that's not from this group, it's from me being me. And
I wanna give them a plug too, because they've been very good the last couple of years with letting us do the festival there and letting us plant trees. They've welcomed it. And so they've been very good to work with through this process, and even with some of the projects that we've had, the Cannon Street Bridge project with the planting. So they've been very cooperative and very good to work with. The relationship has been very cooperative, both parties in both ways the last couple of years, so it's been very good.
they're also very good to their public landscapes. I mean, Brandeis Park is irrigated. I think they did 2 years ago. They take good care of most of their other, you know, public properties. So they really are, they're quite good at the way they think about their public spaces.
Yeah, Peter, I feel like what we're talking about really fits into that like public messaging outreach campaigning of why certain things are more culturally better for
There's a
public
gap,
and private trees.
there's a gap that needs, it's
Yeah.
education.
yeah, we've been battling that gap for a while, it seems like.
I drive
Part
like,
of it's the utility wires also, like one concept is keep it below the wires and one concept is to let it get above the wires and go to full maturity. But nowadays it seems like when they get too big above the wires, the power company wants to clobber them back no matter. So really it's planting, like if you're near the wires, planting the correct tree in general.
I have a walkthrough with Eversource this week again on Comstock Hill yet again. They were just there last year, so we'll see how bad it is.
Right.
So are you available? Maybe you should take a walk with me.
Hmm.
With Mr. Tree Cutter. I'll let you know.
I mean, what day, Peter?
Probably tomorrow if I can do it.
Oh gosh.
I'll send you a note.
All right.
Short notice. Okay, update for planning for Arbor Day cleanup. That is tomorrow, April 24th. So we're doing the section of the new Norwalk River Walk Trail opposite Riverside Cemetery on Riverside Avenue. That is all completed now. We're going to be working from the corner of New Canaan Avenue all the way down to number 38 Riverside. This is for tree companies, not open for public. Although the public can drive by and view what we're doing, hopefully. There's plenty of traffic on that road. We have a bunch of tree companies coming. We're going to be there from 8 to 12. And then we have tables and public dignitaries coming at lunchtime to thank all the tree companies. We've done this, I think this is the 4th or 5th year now, Paul.
Third. We
Third.
did MLK, we did the NRBT last year down by the old Y at West Avenue, Connecticut Avenue, and then now we're doing the upper section.
No, but then before that, we did MLK, right?
Yeah, so it's MLK, the lower section of NRBT, and then now this upper section.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll do the following year, we'll connect the two and go down by the river.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that we're gonna do, obviously, is we've invited, as Rich said, all the dignitaries. Rich and I walked it on Friday, cause I've been in contact with Connecticut DOT just to get their blessing, because technically that is state property where the trail is, but there's a maintenance agreement between the city, NRBT and DOT, so we're technically doing maintenance work, so they've been made aware of it. And then I've also got the declaratory ruling from the Conservation Commission with Alexis Caricetti too, for permission to do the work, because technically it's next to the river and in a wetland buffer area, so we needed their approval, so I've gotten all of that, and we're in good shape with that. And then one of the other things we are gonna display, and we were just talking a little bit about it before, is we had the work that we did down last year behind the Y at Connecticut and West Avenue, and we said, once that was done, this was prep for replanting. That plan that Sarah put together now is something we're gonna display tomorrow to show what we're gonna do to replant this spring down there too. So we wanna show that we're following up with the replanting that we said we would do at the corners. So that'll be displayed there also.
Awesome. So one of the things that is like, a private arborist company, that's a great spot to work, and the trails are good because we're off the road, so we don't deal with cars and traffic, and Paul is closing the trail for public walkers and bikers. So it takes traffic out of the equation, plus we're inside from all the utility wires, so it takes transmission and electrical lines out of the equation as well. So it works great for having an Arbor Day cleanup event. It's an area that's been neglected, so it needs a ton of work. We're only there for a half a day, but we got a ton of companies and we got a lot done last year, so I'm anticipating the same for this coming year. I think the weather's gonna end up being pretty decent.
And I want to thank Rich for doing a great job with this because, and matter of fact, at that point, the council president, Greg Burnett last year really appreciated it and thanked the companies, but for Rich organizing all of this and getting these companies, because this is a lot of money and a lot of work that's free of charge now to the city at no cost. So it's a real great thing that they're doing. And thank you for Rich for organizing the whole thing, because it is saving the taxpayers a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's good for public awareness, so we like doing it, and all the companies that we've had come in and participating so far enjoy doing it, so we try to keep the momentum going.
So,
And
so Rich,
it's a great point of showing how there's maintenance work involved, and I know Sarah's been preaching this for other areas here in the city too. It's not just about planting trees, it's maintaining them and taking care of them too. So we wanted to show both aspects during an Arbor Day, so Arbor Day cleanup and then an Arbor Day tree planting.
so Rich, there's a great deal of chain link fencing along that trail. Why it's there, I don't know. But great places for them to put their banners, organized so they get the advertisement. So you might just organize that because I know that the public presence is, a benefit for them. So you take advantage of it, because I think last year the trucks visibility, that's all good for them.
Yeah, and that's why, and Councilmember Burnett, he had approached me after last year's event and said that he wanted the names of all the companies so that he could read their names at the council meeting during the president's address each month. And he read all of their names in order to thank them so they would get the visibility and get some kind of recognition also.
When you got a quarter mile of fencing, banners work well.
Yeah, it's an idea, Peter, and I don't think anybody's mentioned that before, actually.
No, I'm hearing that now, and that is a good idea. I wish I had thought of that sooner. I would get banners made up. Because
Well, they may have their own. I mean, they may have their own. Who knows?
I don't have a banner I can bring tomorrow. I can make one tonight, but I don't know how good it would look. Okay, so that's for tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. It's usually a fun event, and then we give the guys a pizza lunch towards the end when the dignitaries come out, and it's a lot of fun. We're gonna have fun tomorrow.
One of the best things at the end is there's a big group picture of everybody, all of the companies with the mayor and any of the dignitaries. So there's a big group picture usually each year we've been doing too. So that's been great. And we've been able to submit that with the Tree City USA recertification application also.
Yeah, that qualifies as one of the things for Tree City. It's great. And then following that, we got the Arbor Day event coming up at Silvermine Elementary School. We deliberately do the Arbor Day cleanup event, just to backtrack, prior to the Arbor Day, because we don't want to take away from the fanfare of Arbor Day itself. So that's why we're usually a couple of days ahead of Arbor Day.
And it's gonna be up at Silvermine Elementary School this year on Friday, the 26th at 1 o'clock. Every member of the tree advisory committee and everybody else in attendance is invited to come and be there and join in. They're very excited, and Sarah can attest to that the principal is extremely excited about having the event up there. Silvermine is a school that also has a magnet teaching component that a lot of their stuff is in Spanish also. So they asked us to specifically have a proclamation done in English and in Spanish, which the mayor was more than happy to do, and they'll be presenting that at the event on Friday. We'll be planting one sugar maple and one flowering dogwood. Flowering dogwood will be totally planted, and then the sugar maple is gonna be partially planted like we do each year. And we'll be giving out 500 Douglas fir plug seedlings at the event. And they also had the poster contest that's been completed, and they have the winners selected already. And that those winners have been put in the safe at the school. The principal locked them up so that nobody gets that announced until the day of the event. So that's done. That is done, and Rex and Park put together a program that they're gonna give awards out this year for a program that they conduct for each one of the winners, being that Doubletree is no longer in business. So we had to come up with another award for the poster contest winners. And basically, Rex and Park has hit a home run with giving away some kind of a program that varies depending on the different ones. And Sarah can talk about that in a second, but they're gonna give those away for all of the children from K through 5 that are poster contest winners too. The other thing is Sarah is gonna be doing a teaching component related to that. And I'll let Sarah talk about the parts for Rex and Park as well as the teaching component.
Yeah, so each of the winners of the poster contest will get one free program from Recreation and Parks. So that ranges from like a Lego master building program for a couple of weeks to some sports activities. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Something different than staying in a hotel in Norwalk overnight. Maybe the parents will be excited. And then I created the teachers have been like very interested and involved throughout all of our planning. So they wanted me to create some kind of lesson that focused on the benefits that trees provide for us as people, but also, you know, instill in the kids like stewardship and what can we do for trees in return and how can we take care of the environment. So it's a dual language lesson. Gotta brush up on my Spanish, but it'll be pretty nice. I'll visit every single grade over the next week or so. So it'll be really exciting.
That's great.
So it should be a great time, and invitations have gone out to all of the dignitaries and politicians. This year, it's been advertised, as has the Arbor Day cleanup through the mayor's office. The invitations went out through Michelle Woods, the communications director, and Kim Ramirez. The two of them sent them out, and actually the invitations came and it said the mayor would like to invite you to X, Y, and Z event, and it was sent to all of the politicians and dignitaries, so the Board of Ed members, so that's all been done, so we should have hopefully a good turnout.
Friday, the weather's
weather's
better
gonna be
than
good.
tomorrow.
I'm just laughing because a decade plus ago, community effort did plantings along the river in the back of the school, building fish hooks and stuff, and just memory. Yeah, I've been there a while. But we planted serviceberry along the banks of the Silvermine River and built fish hooks. It was, you know, the fun time. What's left, I have no idea.
Okay, next up, Gay for tree liaisons.
All right, so I'll just finish up a few things that I had started out before. There was a couple of leftover tree plantings left over from the fall of last year. One is a tree going in at the Congregational Church on Richards Avenue. It's kind of a long story, but there's one tree that still needs to go in there that was left out from last time. And the second is sort of have a follow-up and a little bit of discussion regarding the Temple Beth El Memorial Cemetery. By the way, the one of the sponsors for the Norwalk Green Earth Day. So this involves the yew bushes, and I know that Peter, you and I had talked about this way back when. So there are a line of yew bushes along Richards Avenue, and when we met with the executive director, she was fine about the fact that we could cut through swatches of the yew bushes, a good 5 to 6 feet, and plant tulip trees in. We cannot go anywhere else around the yew bushes because the headstones have been being planted there, dug there. So we can only work with the yew bushes, and she was comfortable with the fact that we're gonna be cutting out the yew bushes and putting the tulip trees in there. The concern that Peter raised, and so I'd like to discuss it with everyone else, is when you cut out the yew bushes, you're gonna get browning because it's gonna look sort of dead and dying along there. They come back in a year or so, so it'll look a little bit better, but for that interim period, it's gonna look not pleasant. But that didn't seem to bother her as much as she was excited about tulip trees, which is what we had suggested, going in along there, sort of complementing the trees being planted in directly across from the St. John's Cemetery. So she was excited about that. But I think just to, did we lose them?
No.
No? Okay. Just so that she's comfortable with all of that, even though she seemed to be on board, I'm gonna write a detailed letter to her saying that it's gonna look a little bit messy and brown until some of the yew bushes grow back in, but she'll have the tulip trees there. So I'd like to open up a discussion to if there's thoughts that we shouldn't cut through the yew bushes, because then we have to walk away because there's no other options there because of the layout of the cemetery. So I want to make sure that everyone's on board with doing this, and we also need to hire someone to cut away the bushes too. That was going to be a concern too.
Yes.
So Peter's point was that it's going to look really brown and awful, and he wasn't on board with it. So
I just want to make sure they're on board
talk
with
about it.
it.
I'm sorry.
Just a heads up that they're on board with it, and if there could have been planted to the inside, directly on the inside, that would have been better. If you look at plotting, they might have been able to put it, you know, between the plots. So the spacing, you might have been able to work between the family plots. I don't know if they're single plots up front or fours or what. Cemeteries have their arrangements. And if so the spacing relative to the plot layout, relative to the yew root system, it just has to be thought through.
I'm gonna try and share the screen again for a minute and see if it'll work, so hopefully I won't lose you.
The plots go right up to where the yew bushes are.
I mean, the
I don't
trees are
think, you
more
don't see
important.
them now, but they're right on the other side of the yew bushes, so we cannot put any trees
Right.
into, was by cutting in sections of the yew bush out and putting the trees there.
Or maybe we go a little smaller, Dave. Maybe we go 2 to 2.5. Because
So go ahead, Peter.
Can you
go ahead.
see what I got on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay. And Sarah, I believe you also made. Did we lose them?
Sarah?
you just cut out there real quick. Can you repeat that, Gay?
Believe
Paul, you're losing your audio when you share.
all right, so take the sharing off and go back to audio. That's what it looks like. Those hedges have been there for a long time.
The hedge does nothing for canopy, and I think the lesser of the two evils, chopping into the hedge, even if it creates some bare spots for an interim, you're probably going to expose some woody parts of the interior of the yew bushes. How they're pruned and how it's done, you can make it look different depending on how they're pruned back after you chop a couple out.
No, we need the trees. The trees are more important, but
Yeah, the trees are way more important.
so perhaps.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Sarah.
I went over there yesterday because Paul let me know about this spot. If they're amenable to us cutting into the hedges, we can plant in there. I don't think it's going to look great. But the snow shelf there is 3 feet, so it is possible to get some trees, obviously not like maybe 25-30 feet away from where the tulip tree is, but I didn't spray paint or mark anything out. I just put 3 stakes in the ground in the snow shelf out there for 2 flowering dogwoods, and maybe put an oak. I wasn't aware that they wanted tulip trees, but we could do that. Just so if, I don't know if we have Paul and Gay still, but if folks wanted to go check that out, that might be, a better compromise, just planting in the right of way. Otherwise, it would be perfect to plant right behind the yews, like give them like 5-6 feet minimum. But if that's not a possibility, then that was just a good compromise that I saw, just using the right of way instead of having to chop into the U's, because they can take shade, so it wouldn't really bother them.
You mean right along right along Richards Avenue on the other,
Mhm.
leave the.
Yeah,
use-
it's about a
didn't seem like that
3-foot
much.
snow shelf, so we
Okay,
can plant in it.
like tulip trees and stuff, there'd be enough room for them? Tulip trees are large.
Tulip trees, I didn't know that that's what they preferred. But there are kind of similar, if they're looking for shade trees, we can certainly get another shade tree in there, but the other two would have to be smaller because of
Right,
the
right.
size near the tulip tree existing.
I see Jeff jumping in there. What do you got, Jeff?
Jeff's got the,
Quick question. They're pretty wide U's. Can you plant still within the U hedge, but leave the front untouched?
Which is why I'm almost suggesting we go to a size down. Tulip trees grow pretty fast. So if we get a size down, it's less cut in, less root ball size. And we want the tulip trees because they'll give canopy on the street, which
Mhm.
you know the smaller trees in the shelf will never do.
So,
And-
so
And you're matching
Peter,
what's there too.
you basically take like maybe a quarter of the hedge out instead of the whole hedge, is that what you're thinking,
Well,
like a
half.
circular?
Well, half. Maybe leave.
Okay,
Almost looks like a double line of hedges. I don't know. I didn't get in there and pull the branches apart. And maybe the compromises are not particularly evenly spaced if we have to get them between the root base of the hedges. Those hedges would have been planted on an even dimension, probably only 30 inches apart. But if you space the trees and they're off a little bit from being exactly equal distances, the world will never know, and you get the canopy along Richards Avenue, which is what we want.
How many linear feet of hedges there?
With the whole frontage, it's the whole frontage.
Which
Cool.
is how many feet? I mean, like, how many trees are going in? Just 2 or 3?
I
looks
think
like your dummy thought maybe 3 or 4, maybe
Yeah, I think
3 or
it's-
4.
I thought it was in 5.
Maybe even, yeah.
I think it's almost, I don't have to look at the notes, I think it's about 5 of them. There's
Yeah.
one tulip tree there now, sort of in the middle. I don't know if you can pull it up, we lose them. And then there'll be the tulip trees on other sides. So I think it was a total of 5 trees,
Think something like
something
that.
like that.
I that's why I pulled it up before, but I'm afraid if I go into the Google Maps, the smart board is gonna,
We'll lose you again.
cut out, so we'll end up losing you, but we
No.
can lay out what we think, and with Rich and Sarah, Peter, to take a look at it.
Right, and we did that, we spaced them out
Yeah.
too, but
No, just you
Peter,
space out,
leave-
just look where you can fit them in without hitting the actual trunks of the U's. Avoid the center of the U trunk, and if Jess says if you can take out only half the U and cutting the branches back and get that tree in there, get the trees in. They'll grow much better inside. I mean, the snow shelf they'll never mature the way they'll mature inside. The cemetery landscapes don't change except for every once in a while they dig a hole. Otherwise, they stay pretty consistent.
Your thoughts, Sarah?
Words of
Yeah,
wisdom.
I think we should look at again, they won't be nicely spaced or anything because we have no idea where the trunks are, but as long as they are amenable to, maybe it's not gonna look the best for 2-3 years until they fill back in. I think
right,
it's
they
fine.
seem to be okay with that. I mean, I don't think we mentioned precision lining up.
No.
I don't think that even came in our conversation. I don't think it really matters to her, I'm gonna guess, but I laid this all out in a letter just to make sure. I think she was just thrilled about getting the tulip trees, which are directly across on the Catholic cemetery, so she kind of wanted the same look that they had.
As
and
she
that's-
should.
Right, as we
That'd be
should,
Looks
right.
good.
So, and we also have it in a diagonal with the conservative, the Jewish cemetery diagonally across, and they have the same thing.
So
See-
just for transparency, when I first brought this up with Gay, what I was suggesting is we might offer a wholesale replacement of the U's under the same budget. I mean, one strategy would be to take all the U's out, plant the trees, plant new U's in between. I mean, but that's cemeteries. It's 100-year thinking.
I'll take all the use, that you won't do that, no.
But no, and that's fine. But that's why I brought it up, Gay. So that
Oh.
the advisory committee might have made a bigger commitment if that's what they wanted to do.
Peter, you got a point though with what you were saying though, because originally we talked about putting them in the center. of the yews anyway, because the one that's there, the tulip that's there, they actually have a cutout all the way through. But
Right.
that doesn't mean you have to do it all the way down now.
Right.
What are
That's
your thoughts, Rich?
If they're willing to live with this approach, just beware that they may be, if they're upset, we can always offer replacement, given our budget for yews, we can get yews in there. Getting those out is $2,000 easy. How much, Rich, to tear those yews out? But that's not what they
They would
want.
be better off eliminating the entire hedge.
And
They
planting,
won't agree to that.
my initial thought with Gay was we plant the 5 trees and we plant hedges in between, new little hedges. And they grow up to be the same thing. We have a 100-year thought process here. It's a cemetery. If that's not what the cemetery wants, we'll plant them, we'll carve out where they'll fit and we'll get them in there. Getting the trees in makes a big difference on Richards. That's the win.
Yeah, and
Okay.
FYI, the total length of the hedge is 180 feet, give or take.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, get 5 or 6 trees in there, no problem.
Let's get them in.
Yeah.
Just-
this-
You had
maybe we just-
200 on Google. Pretty
Yeah.
close. That's good.
What's our contract size? What's our contract size? 2.5 to 3?
2.5 to 3.
2.5 to 3.
Maybe we downsize them, go 2 to 2.5. And they're a little bit,
Okay.
they're less damaging, the root balls are smaller. They don't look like great trees. I'll send you a picture, later. Planted 2 to 2.5s in DC. They're small, but they're tulips. And in 3 years, you won't even know.
Okay, and what's the height?
A 2 to 2.5 tulip will probably still push about 10, 12 feet, maybe. They're
Okay.
Oh, do not accept tulip trees that have been pruned and crooktail up. That is completely wrong, and I don't know why the nurseries are allowed to do that. If Olmsted bring trees on site, and I'll send you a diagram where they top them so they full out, reject them. Because a tulip tree has to have a straight leader, Leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just remember looking at trees in the nursery and they expect me to tag these trees and I absolutely not.
Okay.
So the consensus is basically do a half circle, don't go all the way through, and
If
then
you can do it.
do two to 2.5s instead of 2.5s to 3.
It's a smaller root ball. It's a smaller root, but it's easier to deal with. It's a cemetery, so you're not worried about people coming in, and it's not a city street where the size, they can be damaged at 2 to 2.5. But I don't think I can find a picture of 2 to 2.5.
Rich, you're on board with that?
They're small. They're definitely small. Your comment, Rich?
Rich?
I think 2 to 2.5 is fine. And like Peter said, they're going to be protected there. And they grow so fast, it'll be fine. Probably get a little reduction in the price, and we're going to have to probably allow for a little bit of extra cost for pruning the taxus hedge to make spots for the trees. I would just get the trees in.
Yeah, get 'em
Now, do
in.
we let Olmsted prune those? That's a question for Sarah, Rich, Peter, or do we try and do those in-house ourselves, Sarah? What would be the game plan?
I think with the reduced contract price on the tree.
Yeah, I would have Olmsted do it.
Sarah's got to watch them though.
It's a little, I don't know how that would work, Paul, with private property also. I feel like that's something we need to discuss is A, we need to get a contract price from Olmsted for that work, and B, we probably need another agreement from the cemetery, just making sure for liability
Definitely.
purposes.
And Gay was working on that with them, getting them to sign off on something, yes.
Well, they did already
Okay.
sign off on it, but I needed, since we had this whole discussion, I'm gonna rewrite a letter. I want to be perfectly clear about what it is that they're getting and use the terminology right, just so they're comfortable. I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but just to protect ourselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want to touch them at all without having something in
Right,
writing.
so I'm gonna use the terminology of half a cent, half a circle, et cetera. Okay, that's fine.
So they need to
So,
be,
so maybe it's best to have a meeting, a site meeting with Olmsted so they can look at the site and evaluate the pruning required in order to put the smaller trees in before you send the letter, Gay.
That's a good idea. Okay.
so Olmsted needs to secure the trees like now. Everything, nurseries are digging now and they're going to stop fairly shortly. So.
They don't have much of a problem sourcing right now because we've given them a huge list and actually tulip tree is one of those trees, Paul's, that I gave them a heads up that we'd be using a lot this year, so should be okay, but the size difference.
You send them a note, they better be single leadered. Because Olmsted buys from usually re-wholesalers. And they don't,
Hard
al-
travel.
they don't always, the stock is variable. So you might give them a heads up that that's an issue perhaps.
And under other business, I'm just gonna mention something that Sarah and I did with both parties too, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. So we're gonna set up an appointment in Olmsted just to make sure, and then
Yeah.
I'll send the letter through. Okay,
I'll get Gary out there.
okay. Do I need to be there? Do you think,
Okay,
you want me to?
let me see, please.
So
Okay.
Jeff, is this the right approach or what? Jeff is quiet.
I think so. I was gonna say that if it's private property, NTA could get the trees, but it seems like they're more like city trees because they'll be taken care of. So yeah, I think so. I think going smaller is fine, and try to carve into the U if that's what they want, and then from the street, there's no difference visually.
Nope.
And
Okay.
the center line of the U's is the property line. So yeah, the trees would technically be going in the city right away.
That's all right. No one's developing that property anytime soon.
No,
The residents won't mind.
no,
No.
okay, Rich.
That's so
Okay.
good.
You
Good,
good,
thank
Jay?
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Jeff, Tree Alliance activities?
Hello. So not too much on the tree alliance activity. I mean, we're planting away. So that's good. We've already gotten a couple trees in the ground. We have a volunteer planting going on Tuesday, so that's good. And I've been listening in. I don't know if I got a different link this time. But I know that the Zoom invite changed. So I didn't get the what do you call it, panelist invite. So that's why I don't think you can see me.
There were two sent out, Jeff. I'm not sure why. I had the same issue as well.
Okay.
Everyone knows I
But
can
yeah,
address
just
that. I can address that for you. The city clerk in the email I sent everyone, the city clerk has asked basically because of some incidents that have taken place with council meetings and other committee meetings that all of the various committees, the common council and the committees of the council. Now, there's a different Zoom form that we have to use and only the committee members and the staff to those committee get panelist invites. Anyone else that's invited, like Gay or Jeff, to come to the meetings would go through and log in with the link that we used. And then the person who is managing or running the meeting, in this case, it's Delene, would promote people to a panelist so that they could speak as a panelist at that point in time. But we received instructions from the city clerk's office that this is how we have to do things, basically related to the meetings.
okay, yeah, no problem. I just didn't. I figured that was the case when I didn't know if I was an invited member or a committee member. So I'm invited, so that's perfect, no problem.
You'd come in like a member of the public with the link, and then Delene would promote you to a panelist when at the point for your address.
Understood. And I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Woodward Park tree replacement. Thank you, Paul. I know that you mentioned that this meeting. And then what Sarah's point of succession planting in parks, that's huge. So that was just an important point. Because like you guys mentioned and you all know, we have mature trees in parks, but it's important to have the secondary canopy in there. So that's awesome to hear. And then we'll be there on Earth Day on the green. And then the second annual NRVT celebration is May 4th, 10 to 2. We will also be there with a table. And then regarding plantings that came up at this meeting, the NRVT planting, Sarah yes, Norwalk Tree Alliance would still like to be involved in planting along the NRVT. So keep us in the loop. And then the Sono Gardens, NTA can help. I know that there's a coordinated effort with the city. So, but Paul, if there's any opportunity to help out there, we can get some trees in. And that's all I have.
Jeff, I just wanted to let you know, I don't know if you saw my email that I sent to you, but I have a number of residents around West Norwalk that are interested in having trees planted on their areas. So let's talk
Yes.
about that offline, follow through with the procedure and everything else.
Yes, I did get your email. Thank you for that. It's on my list to respond to you. So yeah, we can talk offline.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and Jeff, let's do a site visit once the work is completed on Riverside so that we can kind of map out the planting areas, because that would be great.
All right, sounds good.
Anytime after 12 tomorrow,
12:05.
12:05.
There might even be some pizza left, Jeff.
All
Yeah,
right.
come at 11:50.
11:30, Jeff.
It's all about timing, right?
Don't be shy.
About 11:30. Well, great.
11:30
Send me my
tomorrow.
aerials of the Norwalk River post Route 7,
Yeah.
pre Route 7. They'll make you cry.
Ugh. Was that an ask to be there? Let me see. I have to check my schedule, but we'll see if I can make 11:30 or 12 tomorrow happen, Sarah.
I mean, you are welcome, but I figure it's better if we walk the site when everybody's cleared out of there.
Okay.
I
Oh,
would
Paul
start at
and-
11:30 and get pizza and then walk the site.
Paul and Rich, are we leaving? Are we chipping on site, or are people hauling out of there?
We're
can't
gonna
remember
chip
what-
on site to answer your question along the new trailway itself, and then they'll haul away. What we've done in the past is we've offered the tree companies a location to dispose of the wood mulch if they wanted to. I don't think anybody took us up on it. They just said, no, we'll keep them, and they left with the mulch, so there was no disposal.
We
More
gotta
we
be
can
careful.
chip on
One thing,
site.
Rich, you gotta be careful of one thing with Alexis's declaratory ruling because of the wetlands and the buffer zones. Underlined in there, it's any wood chips generated from the removal activities cannot be deposited within the wetland or upland review area. Trees in the wetland may be cut flush, but the trunk and roots may not be grubbed out.
Correct. So we're
That was a
not taking
condition.
any roots out. They're not fly chipping or broadcast chipping and shooting the chips back down and towards into the wetland. They're gonna shoot the chips into the back of the truck and they'll be removed from site. No
Good.
stumps are being removed. Anything that we're cutting, there's only 7 or 8 little dead trees that we're cutting down to the ground, but we're not taking any stumps out. That's a soil alteration and it requires a permit, so we're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I got you. That was my question, is whether we were leaving chips on site, but Paul, it's
No,
not.
no chips on site.
All right.
Not allowed to.
I was hoping we could smother that knotweed, but all good.
Nope, doesn't work.
Yeah, if it was a regular site, we could, but with the wetlands that far, that close, and the water course, conservation has a say in that, and that's, I just read you what the special note in the declaratory ruling was.
Right, can't, yep, we'll take them away. Okay, other business?
If nobody else has anything else, I just wanted to mention, one thing that, Sarah and I did for this spring is to get a little contact with the contractor and bring them in and just review things that were good, things that were bad. We bought both Olmsted and Gary and, Minutemen and Jordan Grant in and sat down and went through the different things with them, discussed different things that had to be taken care of. And we had good meetings for kickoff for the spring planting with both of them. And then if there's anything you want to add, Sarah, I'll let you add. But it was something that we haven't always done. We've talked with Olmsted as we've gone, but we did a formal meeting with both parties for the spring this year at the start of the planting season.
Good. I think that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah,
Does that
but
mean-
I always try to have like an annual check-in with any contractor, and I think it's especially with different planting seasons, you know, we can kind of
Yeah.
touch base on how watering went in the fall, things like that. So thanks, Paul.
After the summer of 22, it was so dry and so many things died. I was worried. It's always good to check in and take their temperature.
And in this case too, next month, we will be starting the watering reports that are part of the contract, so May through November, both contractors have to give us a watering report every month in April. So far, obviously, with what we've had too, we didn't need it yet.
Don't need anything yet. I have one item on, I want to recirculate back to is the tree installation request form. When we
Yep.
get that modified, did we decide that tree advisory committee can or cannot be on the form?
So we're in the process of reviewing it and making edits right now internally, but the title right now is going to be tree request form, and then in the body and on the bottom where there's like contact the city at whatever, in the body it'll say this program is run, advised by, and include all departments, including tree advisory committee, DPW, recreation and parks, so that you guys are in there. And then also involved in the contact. And when we have the tree liaison discussion, as we keep talking about that, if maybe there's like one contact for that program to put on the sheet as well, like if you'd like to be involved in the tree liaison program, kind of advertise that on there too.
Yeah, that's a
In
good idea.
terms of the title, it's tree request form. That's what we're leaving it at, but we'll have the edits for not just the tree request form, but the homeowner agreement, just kind of simplifying and condensing it at next meeting.
So
Can you have that, like pull it up on screen next meeting so we can all look at it?
Yeah, or maybe I can just send it in advance,
Or send
like
it? Yeah,
with
in
the
advance.
agenda, that way, yeah.
Only
And I'll
reason
also talk,
I'm kind
I'll
of,
talk to the IT department too, to see what's going on with the smart board for bringing up share a screen too, because we should be able to do it.
yeah, the reason why I bring it up is because I don't think we toot our own horn enough. And like every time I tell somebody, oh, I'm on the tree advisory committee, and this goes to Jeff, I think, more that they go, oh, you're with the Tree Alliance. So that everybody associates the Tree Alliance has done a very good job promoting themselves. And not a lot of people are aware that there's a tree advisory committee.
Mhm.
And I think we do all the legwork for the planting and the locations and the staking, and that we really got to get our name out there a little bit more.
it's been a long-term issue for us. It's not new. With branding, the tree advisory committee is something that we've been trying to do, particularly within interdepartments. I mean, you know, recently we've got a request to review a few things from interdepartment issues, but that's been an issue alone because as an entity, we don't necessarily have our logo out there. We don't necessarily, you know, have the brand name. And we're here to advise, and we're not often, you know, basically used in that capacity. So that's part of the issue, Sarah. And we have our own logo. I think Gay, who was our buddy who actually did that? He's now
Ron Muller?
Muller, I think.
So we have a little logo, and you know that wouldn't be a bad thing to have on the tree form. So we have an icon that we use. Gay will have a tablecloth with that icon on it, I believe, on Saturday.
Right.
So I
right.
mean, we've been trying to brand ourselves for a while to be purposeful, not necessarily to sit in the background and say, you know, we're just one of the cogs, because we do have we do have things to contribute. You know, so just that's part of the issue. Why the name brand?
Yeah, it seems like a long-term, even the city's like tree program website or web page, the landing page, I feel like we could long-term, like if you guys work on branding, if we identify other places where we can advertise it or give more information so people understand that it's a committee of the city, I think that'd be great.
I mean, with the 18 years of tree growth ward, that's not nothing.
Right. Well, when we had the tree festivals, we used to get good responses then because it was a giant marketing tool for us, and since that stopped, I think a lot of the awareness has dropped within the
It's a
city.
win-
but-
it's promotion of trees and the logo and the committee, the icon says trees are good. You know, so
Yeah.
it's all contributes to the city well-being.
Right, we need more signage,
Mhm.
anyway,
And just so you know, Sarah Gay used to be in marketing.
but I've retired. So,
And you're back, it's a good thing.
Can't you come back?
yeah,
Apparently, there's no such thing as retirement.
that's right, last I spoke, you were gonna retire, whatever happened? Yeah,
Right, well, thank you, everybody. It's kind of a longer meeting, but thank you. I think a lot of good input. I'm gonna call the meeting to adjournment.
Back to the
Look forward to
emails,
seeing everybody next month.
back to the emails, tomorrow's a whole nother day. Goodbye.
After
Good
night.
12:05, come 11:30, Jeff.